Welcome and warning. This podcast is designed to help you think outside of the box. I do want to warn you that this episode today is going to be talking about some triggering topics containing child abuse. So please be advised. Proceed with caution. Welcome back to another episode of the Consume Her Consumer podcast. I am your host, Anna, aka Mystic Pixie. This week, I have a whole change up. So as I said a couple times through the podcast, I would be inviting a friend on. We would do some collabs. And I finally got to record with one of my besties. His name is Justin, and I call him Justin Pants. And that is what he will be known as on the podcast. But I want to let you know that the format is going to change in this. And while we are going to be talking about the movie Mommy Dearest, it's going to be a little bit more conversational, a little more chaotic, and not so fact-driven like most of the podcast. This is actually how I hope to do these a little bit more often in the future. So I hope you enjoy. All right, Pants. So you and I did some research on Mommy Dearest. Okay. You watched it. I watched it. It had been years since I watched Mommy Dearest. So I actually made Luke watch it with me too. And when I was a fucking kid, let me tell you, that fucking movie scarred me. I bawled my fucking eyes out. So I am so interested in your take on when you just watched it.
I did read that like it was, the movie was over the top from real life. I guess the daughter had discrepancies with it or whatever, but I mean, it wasn't too horribly off from like things I saw growing up.
As an adult woman, and after all the reflections I've done with like my relationship with my mom and stuff, and my grandma and everything, I was kind of like, maybe this wasn't so scarring.
Yeah, mom and grandma, same. I guess a lesser level of it, but the expectations and you always have to be doing the right thing and like no exception. Like we got yelled at so much, and we weren't bad. We were not bad kids at all.
We were like very well behaved kids for the most part. And were you guys like we were like constantly complimented. Like I can't even tell you throughout my whole life how many people would like say to my mom, "Oh, I just love Anna," like, or John and Craig are just wonderful kids. But at home,
I know a lot of times for that. It was just when my mom would pick us up from places or something like that, parents and whoever was around be like, pleasure to have them. They can come back anytime. Or just me, like he can come back anytime. Just such a nice kid. Because I did have like really good, I was super polite. I did everything right. I would always ask, I was on the straight and narrow. But then I'd go home and it was just like it was like I was constantly fucking up, but I really wasn't. It was just like my mom had what she wanted me to be doing in her head, and I wasn't doing it. So
and I like see that now, like being a parent. Like I notice that now too. Like there's times, and I have to be like, wait a minute, I didn't fucking articulate that to my kid. I need to go back and I need to articulate to him. And also, like, because my mom would always like call me fucking lazy. She'd be like, "You're so fucking lazy." And I would just be sitting there on a Saturday morning while she ignored me all fucking morning, or down in my basement playing with my Barbie dolls, being ignored. And then like she'd show up and be like, "Get your lazy ass up here." Like it would be like nothing to like, "Get the fuck up here and fucking do this." And and then I would like, I was like, holy shit, no wonder I had so many nerves, like so many like anxiety attacks and shit like that. I'm like, no fucking wonder. I'm on edge constantly.
Yeah. I'm sure, like, if I was a kid in this day and age, like, I would have been on meds or something because my anxiety had to be through the roof the entire time. It had to be. Like, when I was really young, I remember being constipated all the time, so that was probably something because I ate what everybody else was eating.
Absolutely. You were probably clenching so fucking bad all the time in your stomach.
It wasn't... all it was I would get in trouble for clogging the toilet because
Yeah.
my dad would have to use the
Fucking, what the
plunger.
fuck were you thinking?
That was the only time it was addressed. So it was just like, and then oh, I wanted to say like my I got up before my mom on weekends and all summer. She was a night owl, just always
Mine
was,
too.
still is, I think. And then
Uh-huh.
there would be a chore list on the fridge every morning, so I'd wake up and I could not play with anybody, any of my friends, even if they'd come to my yard, which was the place to be. We had the pool, the basketball hoop, all that. I had to do all my chores first. And like if I was still in the house, say it was raining or like I just didn't feel like doing chores on a Saturday morning, or it was summertime and I was just like, oh, I have all day for this stuff. Because I didn't know what the chore list
Right,
was going to be
same.
until I woke up and went to the fridge. She wrote it at night. And then if my mom got up and I hadn't started any of those yet, it was like this big, huge deal. Like, why isn't this done? Why isn't this done? What are you doing all
I
morning?
know.
It's 9 o'clock. It's
In
Wednesday
the
in the summer.
80s.
Like, what?
And all your friends were probably already ready swimming in
In
your
the
backyard.
80s.
Well,
They weren't
that's true.
well. They weren't
Everybody,
allowed to do
yeah.
anything in my yard, and they could go out and shoot hoops, but there was no swimming until I like had everything
No,
done. And
right.
it
Yeah,
was
like
not
I
easy
had a list,
stuff.
and like here's the thing.
You know, it was
I
like,
so with my mom, she worked 11 to 7 for a good chunk, and that's what I would wake up in the morning, and that's when I'd have my list. It'd be on the table. And but again, and then there would be certain days where I'd be like, well, and I was thinking too, because I'm like, Gray has a cell phone now. So I just text him and be like, hey, you need to get home, or before he leaves, I'll say, hey, I'll text you, but you need to be home by blah blah blah. I was like, how the fuck did we even know? But I'd have a note like, we're going somewhere today, you better be home and dressed by whatever time, but the chores need to be done. And but she would, like, again, it would be like, I'm talking like those mornings whenever I like slept, or like when I was down there playing and she would sleep, like I was kind of too little to even have chores at that point. But even then, like, I remember one time she made me scrub all the basement steps, and then I didn't do them right. And so she would make me go do them again while she watched me and bitched at me the whole time and told me everything I was doing wrong. Well, how the fuck is a 7-year-old supposed to know how the fuck to scrub steps properly according to Depression era cleaning standards? I don't know. And it was like, holy shit. Like, so that was the kind of stuff like we kind of dealt with. And so funny, like, so watching this movie again, I'm with you. I didn't think it was all that terrible. Like, Luke kind of like scoffed at the part where Christina had to give away her toys, like she was only allowed to keep one. I didn't think that was that big of a deal, because that happened to me.
yeah.
So, like, one time my dad showed up and he's like, you have to pick one. And I wanted both
Mm,
toys. And they were like, well, somebody else is getting this other one. It was like a gift for somebody. So you got to pick one. And I remember picking one of them, and then I was like pissed off because I wanted the other one. And then
mm,
there was no switching because it was already opened and that whole deal. But yeah, I said to Luke, I'm like, I mean, come on, that little girl, pretty much, like, the thing they weren't showing was probably how much she had anyways. And everybody automatically probably assumed she lived in the lap of luxury anyways.
yeah.
So I didn't see that as a huge deal.
Yeah. So not at all, because everybody that came over there, I'm sure,
Exactly.
brought her little girl something. She
Right.
probably had a
Yeah.
million
And got to
things.
go to places that
Yeah.
poor kids could probably
Yeah.
only
I didn't
imagine.
even flinch at that.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a
Yeah.
little digging because initially I was kind of like, how the
Seriously.
fuck did they get this kid? Like, how the fuck did they get this kid? Because, like, the guy, the boyfriend in the movie made it, like, seem real sketchy. Well, she did get the kid real, like, in sketchy ways. I'll get to that later,
Yeah.
though. But I was, like, wondering, did you ever hear
Yeah.
about the orphan trains in, like, the 20s? So, yeah, they were rehoming
No.
all these,
I
like,
don't know what that
orphans
is.
back in the 20s. They would put them on these trains, and they would take them from these, what they called the overcrowded cities, and they would take them out and give them to, like, farmers and shit in rural areas. So, yeah.
Was
That's
that
what
like
I'm
slave
like. That's
labor?
where I'm leaning. I'm like, that seems like that's
Partly.
probably what was going on there. Which reminds me, I want to go back now and watch the movie The
Yeah.
Changeling
I'll
because
take
of
a
this.
couple
Because
boys,
I'm like,
bring
did
them
that
over.
kid get like stolen? But I think that kid. I don't know.
Is that what
It's
that's
been so
about?
long since I've watched it, so that's one that I was like,
I
oh,
never
I should
saw
go
it.
back and watch it. It has Angelina Jolie in it, but yeah.
I know what it is. I just never watched it. It was a disturbing
movie to me, but it was actually pretty good. It's like about gaslighting and stuff too, so I'm gonna watch it anyways because it might be a good one for us to talk about. But so there was these horrible orphan trains. Here's the thing: the Cabbage Patch Kids. Your face. I believe they were kind of like based off of that whole theory of like the orphan trains, like these little like fucking handing out babies with like fake birth certificates and shit.
Oh, I got
you. Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. So I like yeah. Cosmic
Every
Peach actually
idea
covers
comes
it
from
on,
somewhere.
I think she calls them like Babylon babies or something on there, but like go back and listen. I'll have to listen to it too, but like yeah, it's so funny. Like not funny, it's like kind of like fucked up, but like looking back I'm like those were like one of my favorite toys, and then meanwhile people were out there like slugging and beating the shit out of each other to fucking get these things when they were relevant, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like a TV phenomenon to like get these little babies. And then they came out with the fucking preemies. And I remember being like, I want a preemie baby. And I got one for Christmas. And, oh God, I can still smell it. It smells like, they smelled like baby powder. And I needed a whole, like, layette set of clothes for that little fucker, too.
Did they just fill them up with baby powder?
I don't know. I don't know if they sprayed it down with a chemical. It's probably my guess. It's probably why Finley has autism. I sat there and sniffed that preemie baby's head constantly. This is the shit that I'm like, oh okay.
Wouldn't that
we were so filled with chemicals and shit. It's imagine? But
oh yeah. Drinking out of a hot hose. Oh, that's how we got all of our water.
I barely drank water or ate anything from like 84 to like 92.
Oh, it was the hose. That's real. I bet you kids now like don't even believe it, but that was a real deal.
No, and we
chugged
those gross fucking hoses all through our yards where my dog shit and pissed, and like picked those things up and put them in our mouths and sucked water right from them. And yeah, the first couple drinks, nobody wanted the first drink because it was warm as hell because it laid there all day, just stewing in the juices of whatever fibers were in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember parents yelling, "Don't waste the water," too. We're just trying to get to the cold stuff.
Yeah.
Come on.
We had like a little strawberry bush, and they'd be like, "Go spray that first, and then you can get your drink." You're being strategic. Yeah, we had to like do yard work too.
This podcast is going to be such good therapy for my suppressed memories. I can tell already. Like, not just this individual one, but even the last one. Like, I got a lot of stuff off my chest. I didn't even remember, like,
I know. Well, cosmetology school in and of itself, so. I felt like we brought back memories. So we're like...
Oh, yeah, a lot. Like, most of it was hilarious. Oh, yeah, a lot. Like, most of it was hilarious.
There was some trauma.
Yeah. There was some trauma in there.
There was definite trauma. So, okay, so...
Working
we could go off on a whole tangent about that on another episode. Let's go. We'll go back through there, but okay. So Faye Dunaway, I have to say, I agree with you. I think she was over the top. I don't know much about her acting skills. Like, I think everybody always kind of said she was good. Am I correct? Do you know?
Yeah, she was very world famous. Yeah, she was very world famous. That's all I really know. But she was like. Nobody wanted to work with her,
right.
But everybody had contracts. So, like, say she was with, just say Paramount. Well, if she got assigned to that movie and so did that crew and co-stars and director,
they'd be like cringing,
then they just had to deal with her. But I read everything I've read and heard over the years.
Yeah, I felt like her portrayal was crazy. So, okay. So again, the whole adoption thing was fucking weird. And then looking back, so I looked into the guy, and so she was actually married when she adopted Christina. So she actually did have a husband at the time. His name was like Francois or some shit like that. And he was apparently like this famous, hang on, let me pull my notes up here, but like a famous attorney and stuff like that. So, let's see here.
So it would have been fairly easy for them to get a kid, though, right?
Because she was turned down, I can't remember why, but she, Franchot Tone or something, but that was her second
Yeah.
husband. So, that's why. So it was her second husband, and back then they were like, well,
That's it.
you were divorced and married, and we can't be giving your luscious ass a fucking
Yeah.
baby.
That was like the worst thing. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
he was very connected and wealthy, and he had a lot of influence. So anyways, he did help navigate that whole system. So, have you ever heard of Georgia Tan? Okay. I'll have to do a little digging on that, but like Georgia Tan, and she had some affiliates with her, but that bitch was like, she was doing some really jacked up like adoption things, and basically adoption laws like kind of came out of like the way, like out of her practices because of her practices. Like they had to be updated and tightened up because this woman was just like selling fucking babies to wealthy people for profit. So so I was like looking, and I was like, oh, did this have anything to do with Joan Crawford? I don't know if she got it directly for Georgia Tan, but she got Christina and these kids like through like a similar route if it wasn't through Georgia Tan. I have to dig through that a little bit more, but isn't that crazy? Because again, I looked at the whole orphan train, but by the time she had adopted Christina, the orphan trains and stuff were already done. But again, because of the way she was viewed by society at that point, the actual adoption laws that they had, she left wherever they were living. They were in California. I want to say she went to, like Arizona or some shit to go adopt Christina. So there was fuckery there. That's all I have to say about that. But they do apparently know like the birth parents and that. So I think it was more legit than most of the adoptions at that point. But yeah, so there was that. Now, yeah, and so her and this Franshaw, whatever his name was, they were already like kind of like on the outs when this whole adoption took place. Because when I watched the movie, did you fucking notice like it like went from like there was like this boyfriend in there and he's showing up giving gifts and stuff, and then all of a sudden you never see him again, and he completely abandons her kids. Like, see ya, like they have an out, and he's just like,
I feel like they. Yeah, I think they probably shot scenes that they cut out.
Probably, yeah.
Like to maybe explain a little better, because I did notice a couple things where I'm just like, they just went to this now?
Right.
Like, no explanation, but whatever. It's still a good movie.
Well, and they completely don't even mention her twins. So she actually had twins later. I believe they were adopted also. I think their names were like Kathy and Cindy. And then also Christopher. So Christopher, they mention Christopher in the movie, but then they don't mention the twins at all. And the twins completely say that Christina's like whole portrait of their mother is completely falsified. They're like, we've never seen her drunk. Like maybe she'd have like a glass of wine, but she was not like stumbling around drunk like she was portrayed. Now again, they were ages apart, so maybe there was a little of that in Christina's eyes.
Yeah.
But I also am like, looking at this from an adult and like looking at some of my perspectives from when I was a kid, was some of it exacerbated because the whole wire hanger scene, I mean, she's taking that fucking hanger and she's fucking wailing her to the point where if that happened in real life, that fucking kid would be in the hospital. Like, am I wrong? Because I can admit when I'm wrong.
I'm trying to think of the time period. I'm trying to think of the time period though, because I know even stuff like that happened in like you know my lifetime.
And I told you.
So I don't know. I don't know that she would have went to a hospital because they would just try to take care of it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the beating scene of that, like, I'm like, maybe she did hit her with a hanger a couple times, but in that one, she's like relentlessly whopping her with it, like, for 3 straight minutes. I'm like, this is the point where, like, is she going to kick her in the kidney too?
It's ridiculous.
You know, but again, like I say too, like I've told you the story and I'll share it again just because it's not, I didn't put it out there now for the podcast yet, but you know, my mom ripped my hair out of my head when I was in 1st grade. I had this long straight brown hair, and she ended up like, I look back and I do see her with some compassion. The problem is as an adult, like my mom still has never really apologized to me, and she's still just kind of like, well, I felt like shit about myself. as you should have, but like again, there was no bond between us after there where you were like, listen, here's what was going on in my life. What happened at the time though for my lens was I
Yeah.
had what now I know is panic attacks. So I was having panic attacks first thing in the morning, waking everybody up
Hmm.
screaming. I get it. She had to work all the time and stuff. So again, my mom and dad were probably pretty stressed. I think my dad might have even been laid off at the time, but I'm not 100% sure. For whatever reason, my grandma was at the house that morning, so I think something was going on anyways. So again, the fact that I don't even know the facts
Of
behind this just
course.
shows we've never communicated about it. But I started whining again because I was so anxious about school and I had so much anxiety. She just reached over, fucking grabbed me by each side of my head, shook
Hmm.
me until my hair was hanging from her hands, and I had to get a fucking perm to cover it. And she called to school. So she called to school and
Yeah.
fucking told my teacher, and God bless him, but he did what he thought was at the time. I don't know if she told him about ripping my hair out, but she did tell him I was crying all the time. So I got put on this folder, which at the time there were these behavior folders. So everybody thought I was on a behavior folder, which in essence I kind of was, but like it wasn't for the same things. Mine was for fucking anxiety, which I probably, again, today's standards, I would have been on medications. Like they would have just had me medicated.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
you would have had a counselor, and you would have had a
Yep.
caseworker to talk to that checked in with
Yeah.
you, and
So,
meds, and
you know,
yeah,
so it was handled completely different.
yeah.
That would have been about like 1988, 89, I'm thinking. So, oh, so
Yeah,
different.
the
I
80s
like
were
I was at
wild
the
for that
hairdresser,
stuff. They
and
just did
I was
not
telling
have
a
a
friend that story.
grasp.
My friend was getting her hair done. I was waiting to get mine done. I was telling her this story, and this little young hairstylist was like, "Well, didn't they child line that?" And I was like, "Girl, there was no child line back then. They just the teachers put you on the
I didn't hear
behavior floor
about
for being a
Childline till
disruption to your parents."
that was it.
No.
They didn't look into it at all. I'm speaking my school. I mean, the kids would come in
Yeah.
dirty. They'd be like, "Wash your hands," or they'd, try to sneak food out of another
Mm-hmm.
kid's lunchbox, and they'd be in trouble for it. And there was
Yeah.
no
Or did
questions
anybody
like, "Did
bother to
you
give
eat
you dinner
breakfast or
last
anything?"
night?
I never heard that once. It was just like, "You're in trouble. You can't steal. You're stealing. You can't do that. Go sit in the corner. Move your desk up to the
Right,
next to the teacher's
exactly.
desk or
Yeah,
something." That was it.
1000%. And then they were dubbed like this badass, like
I didn't
they're
even know there
bad, and
was a.
yeah, they were stigmatized by
Oh
everybody.
yeah,
And
they would punish the kid. So he or she's
oh
getting
yeah,
it at them, and they come in and
absolutely.
get it again. And no
Yeah,
one
that's
looked
what's
into it. That's the
heartbreaking.
biggest part. I didn't even know what a counselor was till I was at least in high school. I
Right.
like heard about it, but I didn't know anybody that went to one or talked to one, or I
Oh,
didn't know
exact.
a
No, I didn't
counselor.
know
Now I know
shit.
like
Well, and you
50
know
of
what?
them.
That's the nice thing. I think we all endured the 80s and 90s so that we can have
Oh,
counselors today for kids and pet therapists.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Something had to break.
we broke.
Yeah, we broke.
You know what though, I'm such a firm believer that like our generation's the one that's like bridging that gap between like the fucking cold-hearted boomers and like this young group of like they have no idea. I'm
Uh,
like, you guys don't know struggle.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
it was, but like, I don't know if the bridge maybe was put up too fast or what happened, because now I see like everybody getting babied as opposed to
Yeah,
like nothing. Like it just seems to me like it just went
I
like
agree. Yeah,
dramatically the other way
it is. It's really quick.
all of a sudden. Unless I just kind of maybe I'm thinking it was in the early
I
2000s
I
because I
think
was
you're
just
right because
busy
I wasn't a parent
living.
then
Like
either.
I was in my 20s, like
Right, same.
not paying attention at all. Like I have no idea. I didn't know anybody with kids until like maybe
Yeah.
2000s.
Well, and like for me right now,
Anyway,
like I mean, Finley obviously has a whole different life ahead of him, but as far as Grady, like our whole take is we really are trying to pave our kid for the road and not the road for the kid. So like a lot of the times when things happen, we try to sit him down and try to look at him from
yeah.
like different angles and stuff like that. And say like, look, like here were other people that were involved, and I'll tell you what, for he's almost 11, he can take accountability like no other. Like he had a run-in with a kid recently and he was acting out. So once we kind of got to the heart of it, the whole antecedent behind it was he was feeling some kind of a way. Now he behaved in an inappropriate. He was being mean, and he went and called the kid right away. He apologized a couple times, But I was like, listen, we have to get into the heart of this, buddy, because
Oh,
I said, I'm not
wow.
going to fucking raise some kid that can't take accountability, because I was raised in a house where my own mother can't take accountability. And that's kind of my whole point with this is, again, I'm 43. Like, you could have sat down now and said, hey, Anna, here's what was going on at this time. Like, that must have been really fucking scary for you, but there's no accountability there. It's just all about her and all the time, like, oh, I felt like shit about myself. Yeah, because you had to take me to somebody and admit what you did. That's what, and you did it in front of your mother. So that was, that was your fucking problem, not, it's not that you felt bad about me. Like, that was the thing. And then she kind of wonders why we don't have a fucking relationship now, I'm sure. So, but yeah, so that kind of spanned from the wire hanger
Yeah.
thing for me.
Can I throw something in there real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Let me throw something in there real quick. You can edit this out if you want, but so my grandma lived like a mile and a half away. So she would come out, and it was every Sunday, most evenings, and then, all summer or whatever when we were there. They would argue every time my grandma came out. So, like, yelling, screaming arguments every single time. Sometimes my grandma would be out twice in a day,
Shit.
and it would just start over. And it was always us. It always, like, my mom would always blame the boys for that happening. It's like, no, you are both crazy. You both should have been medicated years ago. And you shouldn't live a mile and a half from each other. Everything would have been fine.
No, it wasn't you. I'm here to tell you now that it wasn't you and it wasn't your brothers.
I was busy doing chores.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Like, it's so funny to reflect. Like, I was at a counselor one time, and when I was working for a state, like, back in the day, and I went to this lady. I was having a lot of mental health issues at the time, and I went in, and somewhere along the time, we got talking, and she said something about, like, my youth and that. God bless that poor woman, because I had no idea the fucking floodgates opened that day. That's when I started, like, realizing all of it. But I went into it like a session or two later, and I went, what's up?
When was this?
It probably would have been right after I had Grady, so about almost 11 years ago. Yeah, so I sat down with her, and I, like, the next session or two after that, and I said, I just thought through a bunch of things that happened that, like, kind of weigh on me all the time, even as an adult, and I said, I just realized, like, 99, well, maybe not 99, maybe, like, 95% of those things weren't even about me. And she's like, what's that feel like? And I was like, I mean, wow. I carried all that shit all those years to be like, oh man, I'm such a fuck up. Like, and then you're like, again, then we look at why we have these coping mechanisms. And for me, mine was obesity, and I was a chronic fucking shopper. And it's like, I wasn't taking care of myself. I mean, you think you're taking care of yourself when you're like, oh, I just bought myself 6 new pairs of shoes. I don't even have anywhere to fucking wear them. So, yeah. So that's a reflection there, but all right, hold on. Like, let me look here for some more notes here. Okay, so let's get to my notes.
Get to your notes.
Okay, so here's where I was leading with that.
So the hanger thing, you think she should have went to the hospital?
Okay, so I was notating that because I'm wondering if maybe not saying that the abuse did not happen, because I don't want to discount at all that Christina's abuse happened. I do believe she probably experienced something, but I'm just noting, like, with my experiences that I had with my mom, like, I just named one of the bigger ones from my life, but, like, with that, even, like, at it, like, there was other stuff going on. Did I exacerbate some of these things? I don't, this is how I remember it. I don't know. But did she maybe? And that was all I was trying to say. But here's my whole thing. So this guy, her and the second husband, he was super connected, super wealthy. They split. We do know that Joan Crawford had mental health issues. So, I mean, that's not going to be disputed. At least, do you think? I mean, I would say that she definitely had mental health issues.
Definitely, but then I look back and it's like, she wasn't far off from my grandma.
They didn't have any sort of...
They were kind of the same personality.
Right, exactly.
It's just my grandma didn't come from money. Or wasn't in the spotlight.
I hear what you're saying.
But it was the
absolutely.
Same.
Well, and I think too.
And she yanked hair out of my mom and all that kind of stuff too.
My grandma, she was like fucking crazy too. I mean, you met her. So, and I met your grandma. So, like, yeah, my grandma was pretty nuts. But like, I also get like they grew up in really harsh times. Okay, so like I get it, depression era and stuff.
Oh,
So
the depression.
throughout my whole
Oh,
podcast
yeah,
so far to
no.
date, like I've covered how the media has portrayed people, how these studios controlled contracts, and how they treated these actresses and stuff like shit because of aging.
Yeah.
So at the time, here's a theory. So this is the one where I'm kind of like, let's talk about it from this angle. And again, she was mentally ill. I'm gonna say sorry, my dog's barking. I see this woman as mentally ill. They didn't have coping mechanisms
Definitely.
back there. That's how they dealt with shit, was beat your fucking kids and shut them up. So giving all that, I'm not discounting any of that.
Booze.
But if she lost this marriage of this very connected guy and he went after her through studios and such, is this a way to discredit her and her entire career by basically making a movie with Christina's book? No, I'm just asking. Just a theory.
But well,
I mean,
what do
Mommy
they gain
Dearest is
from
still
that?
relevant, and they made a lot of money from the movie. I mean, Joan wasn't going to make any money from that, but
Yeah.
the studio itself,
Yeah, but to discredit someone
Yeah.
that's gone
I'm just thinking the studio made a shit pile of money off of this.
for
That was just one of my thoughts, but
yeah. So they, so they
uh-huh.
made it as extreme
Yeah.
as possible,
Yes, yeah. To
right?
kind of
Is that
make
what you're
it look
getting at?
like, well,
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
Like, because we know that they've done this to other people too. Like, we know that they've done this to other actors and actresses, but they did it kind of while they were alive. Because she was very obsessed with the aging piece at
Yeah,
that point, which was
that's what
huge
I
for
don't
all of
see.
Hollywood.
I don't see the point. Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Um, she probably burned a
that's
lot of bridges
yeah.
over the years
And then
too.
also
So
she had that later husband too that she
that
treated
plays a
like
part in
complete
it.
garbage, it seemed like. So again,
Yeah.
if he was still alive and well, I don't know. I didn't look into whether he got any payouts either. But also, did you know Christine and Christopher were completely cut from her will?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
Christina
don't
and
think I did
Christopher
know
were
that.
cut
No.
out of the will. And I
Why?
guess it said, and they didn't even know until like they went in to
Why?
like figure out what they were inheriting. And then the will was basically like, hey, you two know what you did. And they were like, we don't know what we did. Yeah.
What?
But that's like, again, women at the time, they did all
No,
kinds
I
of shit
did
like that.
not
Like,
know
oh,
that.
you know what the fuck you did. No, I don't. I don't even know why you're screaming at me.
Oh, I heard that a bunch
Yeah.
of times. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I have no idea. I don't think I did anything.
Exactly.
But so
So the
who
two
got the
twin
money?
daughters, but then Christina and Christopher sued, and then they ended up getting a little bit of money then later. Yeah, so that was another little factor that I thought was interesting. But yeah, I do agree with you. Joan probably did.
So she
probably did like burn a bunch of bridges. But another piece that I'm going to add to this is and I'm doing this from my perspective right now, being a working mom. Like, well, I'm off right now until I get a new job, but as a working mom, like I can tell you when I was working, and especially when I had that job that was like super stressful, and I was coming home and just fucking disassociating. I wasn't paying attention to my family at all. And so I was looking back, and so if Joan created this whole lifestyle and she's trying to upkeep a persona, because at that point persona was fucking everything. Like, don't you dare get your name in the fucking newspaper.
Yes.
So if this is all going on, she has mental health issues, and then she's not finding work after she burns all these bridges, and they're saying like, listen, bitch, we don't want to hire you, you're old. And she's getting stressed and nervous about this upkeep of this lifestyle and raising these kids. I'm not saying what she's doing was right, but I'm just saying it makes more sense to me that, okay, she wasn't just this lunatic beating up her kids. Like, there was something way deeper going on with this woman that caused her to act out in these awful ways. Which I'm just noting it because the movie's not going to portray it that way. The movie obviously is just like, this nutbag just beats her kids,
Wanted to bash, yeah.
That's my
Yeah, they
thought.
wanted to
That was
bash
kind of my
her.
whole take on it, was like, damn.
Yeah, she like yeah, not to make excuses for her, but she probably had to fight all day at work, argue, whatever, and then came home.
Yeah,
I
which
guess
is
she had
also like
OCD
an
pretty bad
anxiety, like
too.
it
I
spans
remember
from
from the
anxiety, is
beginning
my
of the
understanding.
movie,
Yes.
anxiety. So you have that on, come home and something's out of place or something like that. 'Cause somebody moved something, and then you have a couple glasses of scotch, which was
Hmm.
not refined like it is now. Back then, I mean, you can melt ants in it, and you have a couple of
Right.
those to unwind. And then one kid says one wrong thing, or the maid, messed something up.
Hysterics.
Yeah, you're gonna
Exactly.
get
And
the
then
hanger
there's
out.
like, I mean, not justifying any. I
Yeah,
just want to make that clear. I'm not justifying anything. I'm trying to meet it with a little bit more understanding because, again, I'm trying to heal from my own shit and just everybody has another side to their stories and stuff, and then watching this, like, it was just one of those where I was like, damn, we need to look into it. But then my whole podcast right now, I don't know why I ended up just digging into old Hollywood and just the way these women had to deal with stuff. So
oh, it's great. That's right up my
golden
alley.
era. I don't know if this one was released yet. It might have just been released, but I did one. Did you watch the Ed Gein monster yet on Netflix? The Ed Gein one. Oh yeah, you
What
did.
is
You
it?
watched with Charlie Hunnam? Yeah.
Oh,
Did you?
first day.
I thought it could have been shorter though. Did you think they
First
like?
day. I was at
Oh,
work
see, I
watching it.
thought they
I
could have
wish it would have
probably
been
nailed that
longer.
down in 3 episodes.
I have 12-hour shifts.
But
um, uh,
okay, well, anyways,
yeah, I
I
know what you
ended up
mean. Yeah,
I wanted to
but
dive
it was still
into, so
good.
my first episode that I did, like, that wasn't about me, was I talked about Alfred Hitchcock, kind of his weirdness, because whenever you watch or watch the Ed Gein, he looked like a real
I
gross
gotta get
perv,
into
but
that.
apparently he wasn't as bad as they put it as that, but like he did do a bunch of really weird voyeuristic things. But the Ilsa Hawk lady, that's the one that I was fascinated by, because I was like, was that a fucking real woman? And she was. So interestingly, I talk about how they actually used that propaganda that was sent out about her, because the way they were sending her and she was doing all these crazy things in Germany, they used it in the United States then as, well, look at our beautiful women who are refined and complicit and they're perfectly manicured, and if you don't keep your bitch on a leash, that's what she's fucking capable of, even though she was just some sort of sadistic nut. Right? I was like, holy shit, no wonder women are looking so nuts all the time and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, that's funny.
Fucking crazy. So
Oh, yeah. Um, Ed Gein, yeah, that was good.
yes, we are
All right,
again.
let's
Yeah. Okay,
finish
so
up
let
with.
me
We're
bring
getting
this
off
back up
topic
here.
already. All right, Mommy Dearest.
So Joan, she was
So
actually one of the highest paid women up until the time where they started
I don't
kind of
know. I
being
think
like, sit down, sit down. We don't want your old ass anymore. So again, I do think that like a lot of that was probably pretty
yeah,
rough on
yeah.
her. And then like again, it was so blatant that the actresses
Oh,
and stuff with
yeah.
their contracts and stuff, like with women. Another episode I did, I don't think this one's out yet, but they basically, these contracts for these women, like if they didn't like it, oh no, I have one, I recorded it but I didn't do it yet, but it's gonna be on Betty Davis. Do you know anything about her?
I
Yeah, well,
don't,
Betty
but I can
Davis,
get
she was
into
kind
it.
of like a boss bitch, and I think I'm gonna end this season with talking about her. But yeah, because she was
Really?
like, "Fuck you, I don't like your fucking contract," and she flew off to England. They ended up suing her. Warner Brothers sued her ass in England, but she didn't. She did not win the lawsuit, but she ended up just coming back, and she actually was like the door opener for like, no, I'm gonna gain more control back. You're not gonna put me in your shit films. Like, it's awesome. So I can't. Yeah, look into her. We'll add it into that what I've recorded so far.
I
Yep.
got it written
So
down.
so like, what's
You know
that?
who else was a boss?
Who?
You know who else was a
Oh, I
boss?
I
Betty
do need to
White.
look more into Betty White.
Betty White. Oh,
Yeah,
you
I definitely
must.
will. Cause she did all kinds of like cool stuff in her
She
career, didn't
was.
she?
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. Get into that. We
oh,
can
there's so
talk
many
about the
Bettys.
Bettys for a while next time.
So yeah, okay. So let me get a couple more little tidbits about Joan here. Um, yeah. So the whole industry at that point
Yeah.
was so fucking harsh though to women. Um, so again, that's like another thing I want to note. Like this
Oh
was
yeah.
coming up past like Betty Davis had already kind of started kicking the doors off of stuff, but like she's still. I mean, they were still scrutinizing women for their looks and things like that, especially aging. And instead of trying to like work with these women and like using their talents and stuff with age and grace, they kind of just discredited the fuck out of them and like get the
Yeah.
fuck out of
Put them in
here. We don't
older
need you
roles.
anymore. So that had to have like taken a toll on her
Yeah.
psyche.
Did they not need older women? Did they not need older
I
women
don't
for movies
I don't
anymore? Like
fucking
what?
get it. I
I'd
don't
have to look
know.
into that, but there always is an aunt or a grandma or a
Yeah,
mom
I
or
don't
yeah,
know.
like I
But
don't get it.
so anyways, just to kind of look at some of the quotes I pulled. So okay, one of the daughters was Kathy, so she was one of the twins. And she said when describing her mom, she said she was warm. She was a warm, caring human being. I loved being with her, talking with her as an adolescent and as an adult. She was wise and realistic and such a good friend. And that was in 1981. And then Cindy, the other twin, said, "My worst punishment was eating cold dinner for breakfast. Also, I never saw my mother drunk." Christina, yeah, then Christina's the one that, claimed the wire hangers and stuff like that. Um, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, she was mostly relevant from the 40s and the 50s, I believe. And again, mental illness at that time, that was stigmatized. Like a lot of the times if women were mentally ill and they admitted to it at that time, do you know what they did to them? They gave them electric shock therapy or put them in institutions right away. So she would have been like thrown into a
Oh
fucking mental
yeah. Well,
hospital,
yeah, I guess
given
that
a
would be
lobotomy,
extreme.
and then like even they would do it without consent too, especially for women that they labeled in quotes hysterical. So she definitely, with those
Yeah,
behaviors,
and your husband could sign for your.
she would have been labeled hysterical in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah, the husbands were in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a single mom
Yeah.
running this giant house with staff and shit like that, I mean, I'm again not saying what she did was okay. I'm just notating that at the time it was probably pretty fucking hard and she didn't have any outlets, so she beat
Right.
her kids, which is wrong, but damn.
That's exactly yes. You nailed it.
Yeah.
She had no outlet. That was her outlet. She had rough days, apparently, and would come home and it was
Yeah.
game on. If she would have just went for a long walk,
You know what? She
she'd
didn't
have been
know about
fine.
grounding with trees out there like
But
I
they didn't know
know.
that
She
back
doesn't
then.
go put her bare feet in the ground and touch the trees.
Yes, she should have been out there with her feet in the dirt.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe half an hour after work every day,
Do
just
a
go out
quick
and put your
jog. I
feet in
bet
the
she had a
sand or
pole. I mean,
dirt or
she could have
something in a
swam laps.
pool.
It had to have been warm there.
Yeah,
They
had
didn't know to
yeah,
do that then.
yeah. Remember when she kept saying to the daughter, like, another one, not fast
Yeah.
enough, another one. Remember
Oh
that part of
God,
the
you're
movie?
right. Yeah, yeah. That shit though.
And she couldn't even
Yeah.
breathe, and she's like, no, go again. As she's
Do you
smoking
know
a
how I learned
cigarette,
how to
drinking
swim?
booze.
Oh fuck yeah! My dad used to toss
Thrown
my
in.
ass right in there at the Portage Public Pool. In the deep
Yeah.
end. It's like fucking swim or die.
We would get, yeah, we had an above ground pool. Now I was a little bit older. I wasn't like 5 or anything, but I don't know how old I was, 8, maybe. Above ground pool. Out in the middle was a little bit deeper, so we'd get thrown
Yep.
into the middle and you had to make your way to the edge.
Yeah, like
That's how
Grady
we
when he
learned
was
how to
little.
swim.
We lived by Penn State,
Period.
Harrisburg at the time, and it was like 2 miles from our house, and we'd go over there, and either Luke or I would get in the pool with Grady, and we'd start his little swim lessons. We didn't have that luxury with kids. I got tossed into the deep end at the Portage Public Pool. So, yeah,
No
I laugh
less.
about that all the time. I'm like, holy shit.
I don't know anybody that I grew up with that went for a lesson or even
No,
got a
that was
lesson
my
from their
lesson.
dad or mom. It was
Yeah,
just that.
but
We all
By
did
the
that.
time I got a bit
Yeah.
better swimming, my dad actually would take me out in the middle and he would throw me and flip me, and I loved it. So like, but at that point, I could like get my arms and legs moving
Yeah.
and get to the top. But like my dad also, I didn't realize this. He was like a Boy Scout instructor, and then he went and he got like his Eagle badge and all that. But he also went, he was a swim instructor at one point too. And he would always tell this story. My dad did so many cool
Oh,
things.
no way.
He was definitely the active one. But he would go out and he said when he was taking his course, probably would have been in the late 70s, early 80s. He said he had to go out there and he had to save this guy and this girl. And he said the guy wasn't so bad. He went out there, grabbed him. But he said the girl was like really acting out. He said he ended up grabbing her by her hair and tucking her under his armpit and swam her in, like kept her head above water. That's what he said. He was like, there
Protect
was no
yourself
way she was
first,
going to
I
let me
guess.
grab
Yeah.
her. So he said, I went out and reached for her hair and grabbed a hold of
But
her
it's
hair
not
and
like
pulled
he
her
had-
in. And he said he locked her in, and that's how he
Yeah. You
passed.
don't. Every second counts. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
That's
was
hilarious.
dying laughing about that. So, oh, and I did do a little bit of research on Georgia Tan. I forgot about this. So, anyways, let me tell you. Georgia Tan, that crazy bitch, she was from Tennessee's Children Home Society from the 20s to the 50s, okay? So this was a whole black market ring of adoptions, and it was under the guise of like a legitimate adoption agency, but like I said, she fucking kidnapped or coerced parents. Like usually these poor single mothers, she'd be like, oh, you can't take care of your kids, give them to me and I'll give them to these wealthy people. With what we know right now with fucking wealthy people, does that not concern the shit out of you?
Was she actually giving them the wealthy?
Oh yeah,
she actually
was
giving them to
going where
wealthy
the money
people or
was
just
going.
whoever?
So let me look at my notes here.
So yeah. So she had.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So if she had some left over or whatever, that's
Yeah,
when
and then they went and they
got
like
sent to the farms.
she would like falsify these records and stuff. Now she typically would take the kids to California and New York, so that in and of itself is telling. But yeah, she would falsify, like she would alter like the birth certificates and the adoption papers, and then she would like hide their fucking origins from their biological, so that the biological families couldn't even find them and reunite with them. So then this had this straw tie to the Memphis judge Camille Kelly. So she also like got this judge involved. This Camille would like help her facilitate these adoptions, and then she would like get her out of any sort of legal consequences when anybody would like bat a fucking eye. So many of the children then that she had put out for adoptions, they eventually came forward and said that they suffered like neglect, abuse, and even death due to their poor conditions, and like they wouldn't get like medical attention and stuff like that. But again, doesn't that sound really awfully close to what you hear about these trafficking rings now? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Falsify anything.
They don't even have to falsify
They do it with their
anything.
own
They
fucking kids sometimes now too.
just buy and sell.
So, Cosmic Peach,
Yeah.
I just recorded one about, the heck was I? Oh, I just did one about the Lindbergh baby. I'm going to do one of my episodes on the Lindbergh baby. I'm working on editing it. But there's a lot of parallels to the JonBenet Ramsey case,
I don't know what that
which
is.
is crazy. And JonBenet Ramsey, one of the theories that I heard on Cosmic Peach was that she was actually like either like that the Ramseys weren't really her parents, but like maybe they were, but regardless, that like she really there's not really any like evidence that she was ever really in any pageants. Did you ever know that? I didn't know that until recently. Because I was addicted to those fucking tabloids when that whole case was going on. My grandma got them every Sunday.
I thought that
What's
was
that?
the whole deal.
Like every weekend.
Wasn't she in one like every weekend?
Not one that's
Wasn't
on
she
the
in
books.
one like
There's
every
no
weekend?
records. Yeah. So guess what they think it was? It was like a little like pedo circus where they put all the pervs, these wealthy pervs, where they showcase these like little princesses. The autopsy alone, like when you hear about the
Wow. That's way
that's what
darker.
I mean. Like, so when you look at this, I'm like, holy shit.
I hate that happened to her or whatever. But
I hate that happened to her or whatever, but this is opening
yeah,
a new
I'm
door for
telling.
me.
Just
I
go.
gotta
They
look into
just she
this.
just did another updated episode on
Oh,
it. You'll fucking.
I would have never.
It is so mind blowing. But that's like my whole thing is I'm like this lady, you can't tell me they weren't doing shit to these kids now. And like again with Georgia Tian, I don't know the person or anything like that, but like if she was doing these illegal adoptions, this was clearly for her own money. But if she was going to New York and California, where's the money? New York and California. So if you're going there and you're selling them off to wealthy people and getting all this extra money, at that point she probably doesn't give a fuck what happens to them. But these poor kids, who knows what these parents were doing? Because this whole and then you know what I think is fucked up is with Sean Benny Ramsey. Holy shit! Like right not long. I mean, I'm gonna say what was it like? Probably 15 years after. But like again, the case was still pretty like it's still relevant. People were still talking about it. But like then they come out with fucking toddlers and tiaras and normalize that shit. Like it's like oh. Look at and they put fucking veneers on their little teeth and like put contacts and like.
Is that still going on? Because I'm kind of out of the loop.
Is that
I have
still
no
going
idea.
on?
I fucking hope
I'm
not.
kinda
But
out of
I mean the
loop on
pageant
that.
circuit's not going anywhere. But like yeah. So when you look it up, like again, fuckery. That's all I hear. So yeah.
That's blowing my mind.
Right. So like here, whenever it talks about these kids all coming forward, like in the the 20s through the 50s, it blows my mind that they completely like they all come forward and they're like, oh yeah, we were like abused and shit like that. But there's a good like possibility they were all like being in part of some ring because that shit's been going on forever now.
I think the pageant thing itself is dark, but
if you're doing pageants just for rich guys to get their jollies,
because we don't think
why
like
did I
fucking
never
criminals.
think of that? Like,
we're not criminals. We're like normal people.
but like I'd never thought that maybe even that was going on. Like I don't know.
And I actually just listened. I want to say it was Crime Junkie like a couple months ago. I listened to them. They actually interviewed John Bennett Ramsey, the dad. And so like even in one point in that he contradicts himself in that. I think that's what it was, but whatever interview it was, he contradicts himself because he says, oh yeah, he's like, we're at this Christmas party. There was a whole 911 was called from the Christmas party that night, and then they're like, no, everything's good here. And then did you know that? Yeah, go back, you have to listen to that Cosmic Peach episode as soon as we hang up. But and she does one where she like deep dives into an older episode, so go back and listen to both of them. But it'll blow your mind. But anyways,
how is it taking this long to come out?
It comes out in a way that it's enough where like there's so much information and so many theories on it, but like the facts, when you look at the actual facts and even the autopsy, like she did show signs of sexual abuse. Now here's the other thing. Remember how they kept saying about her peeing the bed? Like that was a huge thing. Like, oh, she peed the bed. And her mom abused her because of that. Do you know who pees the bed? Well, kids do, okay? And that's, I'm not going to discount the fact that kids pee the bed. But sexual abuse victims typically wet the bed as a trauma. Their body does it in trauma response. So, just something to, just another little tidbit there. But, I mean, she did show signs of sexual abuse. Yeah. And it was, I believe, I could be wrong on this one. I'm sure you'll hear it on the podcast if you listen. But I believe that the abuse that, like, signs that she had, it wasn't like a one-time deal. It was like repeated abuse. Like the evidence shows repeated abuse. Like it's a little different. So, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, this took a whole dark turn, but. I mean, we got to talk about the facts here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So dark.
That is so dark.
Yeah.
I'd never.
But
wow.
She was
doing pageants,
because
but
I
just
think
in
when
a
you
millionaire's
look, like
basement.
when you look it up, there's only like one or two
With all
on
his
the
buddies.
books. But they like basically what the media will say is like, oh yeah, that like they weren't documented. No, in the 90s, shit was documented. I was in a fucking 10K or some shit. What?
Everybody had that big camera. Yeah.
Everyone. Yeah,
Everybody
and
had a
like,
camera.
yeah, and the amount of shit that they did, like, even those little girls back then, they like did plastic surgery on them and shit back then for these pageants, which is just weird.
I always thought that. I
Yeah,
just nobody ever said it.
absolutely
Yeah, there's
not.
no need.
Yeah. So sorry, I just gave you a
Oh,
lot of food for thought. So, anyways, this will open up for us to do some research now on
yeah,
the Changeling and Betty White for one of our upcoming episodes.
yeah.
Betty White, Betty Davis. Oh,
Betty White, Betty
The
Davis.
Bettys
Oh,
and yeah.
the Bettys.
And then so anyways, yeah, I think we did a good job staying on topic for a little bit this time. We did better
do
than
you have any
last
notes
time.
that you didn't hit?
Let me just look.
Do you have any
I
notes
think
that
I
you
got
didn't
most
hit?
of them. Oh no, basically just that like Georgia Tan's actions obviously led to thousands of illegal adoptions and lifelong trauma for many of these people and families. But none of them really came to light until after the 50s. And then this, like I said earlier, it did really make a huge change in adoption laws and such because of this fuckery. Oh, I have one for you. Did you ever hear? I don't know. We'll have to look into this
Yeah.
further because I have no idea. But did you ever hear that Mother Teresa was a trafficker?
Nah, but I don't know anything about her.
I don't either,
No,
but
but I
we'll
don't
look
know
into
anything
that one
about
too.
her
'Cause
other than her
I don't
name.
know. That's simply a theory I've heard. I also saw a theory that she was Fauci's mom, that the COVID shot guy. Yeah.
Really?
Really?
I'd have to do the math on that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
I'd have
know.
to do the math
That's
on
one
that.
I can't speak
I
to
don't
it and say
know.
like, oh, this is fact because I can't. But there is a theory out there.
The wall comment, someone.
That could have been an off-the-wall comment
Maybe,
someone
yeah. So,
wrote
but I
or
did see
something.
a couple times where they said she was actually a trafficker. So she was out like instead of like we said she was a saint, like giving helping families and stuff like that. But really, she was like giving babies away too. I don't know. We'll have to do a little diggeroo on that. Oh, and here's another little tidbit. I just started doing some research this morning on one of my favorite childhood movies that scares the shit out of me now because Little Fucking Orphan Annie. What the fuck does Daddy Warbucks, like, listen, Daddy fucking Warbucks
Okay, what about?
need a billionaire, need a fucking little girl running around his house for? An adopted little girl.
To watch her sing and dance? I don't know.
To watch her sing and dance?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't remember the beginning of the movie. Maybe he.
I don't remember the beginning of the movie. Maybe he says something like there's something missing in my life, a void.
I don't know, but like
I don't remember it.
FDR shows up in the movie. I mean,
They had to tie it in.
I think it starts off with him waking up one day.
I don't think it starts off with him waking up one day and going like, let's go
well,
get me
he
an
does
orphan.
say at one point, he's like, I wanted
I
a
don't know that.
boy. Is that's in the movie? That would listen. I watched that movie every fucking day. My brothers hid the VHS tape from me because I loved it so much. I love the music. Some family members called me Annie, which I hate. Only select people can call me that. But yeah. So I have a lot of research that I'm doing on that one. So that one will rise and shine here soon too. But motherfuck, right?
Marla?
So basically,
So basically,
no
there was no
documented mental illness
Nope.
back in the Joan Crawford
I mean,
days.
there was, but like, if they found you
would
hysterical,
just chalk
they
it up to
slapped your
she's
ass
nuts.
into a fucking mental institution and they lobotomized you and electric shock
Yeah.
therapy your ass.
Yeah.
Say like you weren't rich or whatever.
Or like say like you weren't rich or whatever.
Oh,
your
yeah.
wife,
They
your
beat them
husband
bitches
probably
into
just hit
compliance.
you, kept you in check, so you'd
Mhm.
keep your crazy mouth shut, or you just went on like with
Right,
life.
and then you
like
took out all
my
your
grandma
stress
did.
onto your
Like,
grandkids.
she is so close
Well, then
to that lady. in
basically
that.
they just went on to
Huh?
like tell their kids what worthless pieces of shit they were and how they were better. And how life was, and then they just belittled their grandchildren. I mean, that's
Yeah.
from my experience. That's what happened. My grandma actually did get a divorce.
But then.
Oh yeah. But then I think then like from after the boomers on, so like X and on,
Realized it.
like
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
realized it.
Hey, we got to do something
and they were like, "Hey, we got to do something different here. We're not gonna. I'm not smacking my kid up and down the
Yeah,
street,
I mean, I know a lot of
or
exes
whatever it
and
is."
millennials that do still. They're like, yeah, I hit my kids. I'm like, oh, okay, but like for me, I didn't like getting hit.
I don't really. I don't. I have so many friends with so many kids, and I don't know if
Yeah, I'm
any
not
of their
about to
kids
be like
getting beat
we
for
sit
any
down. Like I
reason.
said, we had a whole incident. Sat down with Gray, talked through it. We figured out what the cause was behind it because it was an emotion. It was an emotional reaction to something. He took accountability, and we move on. And that's like what I'm trying to teach him is we accept that we're flawed. We don't have to be perfect, but we also have to take fucking responsibility because we live in a world where most people won't. So that's how we're going to be better. That's how we're going to level up. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So I like how this episode went. I'm actually pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
So let me know. Let me know if you want to meet
Oh,
up
me too.
later or sometime this week, and we can do Wag the Dog then.
I have one more.
So I've like, yep.